When we think of manipulation, we think of people that have done hard time in prison, or victims that have been defrauded out of tens of thousands of pounds worth of money. But it's not always those that are really damaging to a character. It's the little things that happen inside relationships, the stuff that gets worn down over time, and then it replaces someone's identity or makes people really think about their self-worth. This is what we're going to talk about. So what is manipulation? Well, firstly, it's not always those calculated crimes, as I mentioned. It can be automatic, like people can learn how to manipulate through a really young age, and then they just don't even know that they're doing it. It just becomes part of their character. Or they can be very calculative and think about how they're going to get something, because that is the most important point with manipulation. You have to get something at the end of it. Now, whether that is emotional well-being or a financial reward or time for yourself, whatever it is, there has to be something in it for that person. And the other part is they normally have to use the other person's emotions to get what they want. And like I said, it's not always money. Sometimes it's just people's attention. So I'm going to give you some examples of how to spot this in relationships. And remember, this isn't just relationships between husband and wife, partners. This is about any relationship, because anyone can manipulate you. Firstly, with all of these situations, remember that there has to be intent, right? Whether that's someone's subconscious thinking or they're actively trying to get something, they have to intend on getting something at the end of it. So, for example, something that you see in partnerships is jealousy, right? We've all been subjected to that. We know about how it works. But what if I was a partner and I didn't want my girlfriend or wife to even talk to other men? So I might occasionally just accuse her of starting a relationship with someone, or looking at someone, or talking, flirting. I might do that. Not because I actively think that she's doing it, but because I'm a little bit anxious and I don't want her talking to other men. So I'll start the ball rolling by that. And over time, my girlfriend or wife, she'll be worn down by it. She'll start walking down the street with her head down. She won't even talk to other men. So another thing that happens in partnership relationships is emotional debt. This means that I might want something in the coming days or weeks, and I know I'm going to need to butter up my partner to get that. So I might start doing little random bits of loving stuff, And my partner might think to herself, isn't he sweet? Isn't he romantic? Isn't he the best? And then in the next coming days, I'm going to want whatever it is that I want. And of course, my partner's going to give it to me. She's going to give me that time that I need to go for the weekend with the boys, or I'm going to get a new set of trainers, or I'm going to get time away from the kids, or whatever it is. I've succeeded because I've successfully built up guilt in those days. So how can she say no? How can she say no to that loving husband or partner that's done all those wonderful things for her? She can't. That's how manipulation works in that sense. Let's say, for example, right, I actually had a hard weekend a few weeks back in the garden, doing a lot of physical labor. But what if I wanted to get out of that? It's very simple. All I need to do is just bang on about how hard I've had it the last couple of days. I'm so tired. Kids been keeping me up all night. Oh, I've been doing all of this. I might even chuck in a bit of guilt there and say, yeah, because of this movie that you wanted us to watch last night, I'm so tired, I didn't get a good night's sleep. And I'm not going to say that once. I'm going to keep on and on and on until my partner says, you know what? You have the weekend off. Don't worry about it. We'll do it next weekend because you've had it really tough, right? Now, remember, not every time that someone says that they're tired is going to be manipulative, because there's a conversation and then there's manipulating someone to get an outcome. So don't take from this, just because your partner might be tired every so often, that they want something. Usually you can spot the signs. And to be honest, if you're dealing with a manipulative person, you probably already know this. We've all been in those situations where you can tell that someone's got something wrong, right? They are upset, they're angry, they're fed up, whatever it is. And they might be playing the victim, or maybe they're just one word answers, whatever it is. And of course, as an empathetic person, you go up to them and you say, tell me what's wrong. Let's talk about it. And you get this response: no, nothing's wrong. Followed by no conversation, short answers, maybe going to bed early. That might have happened for a few reasons. Most commonly, you might have had some crossed words with each other, and now you're getting blamed for that. And you're getting blamed for that with that silent treatment. That is going to emotionally manipulate you into feeling guilty, and then you have to repair that relationship, and it might even be the person that is stonewalling you, that's not even talking to you. They might have something to account for. They might need to be held accountable, but they don't have that emotional maturity, maybe, so they put it on you, and they put it on you by doing that. Another reason is that they might be one of those people that's always in that sort of victim mentality, and they want to unload all the time onto someone, so by getting someone to say, actually, you're not even just discussing, you're extracting that information because you're pleading, no, please tell me what's wrong. I can see that you're upset. So then, of course, they're going to unload all of that emotional baggage without feeling bad. So I've been giving you a lot of examples about guilt, and to be honest with you, most manipulation tactics involve guilt. But one of the more common ways, if you really want to get something, then it might be through fear. You'll control that situation, you'll manipulate that situation through fear. So say, for example, in this partnership, I've done something wrong, like seriously wrong. Domestic abuse, for example, right? It's not nice. We know it happens. We also know that it takes the victim several occasions before they go to the police or the authorities, right? How might I manipulate that situation if I wanted to? Let's say, I come home drunk, I start hitting my partner. She says that she's going to go to the police, and I pull one of these cards out. I use the kids, and I say, you don't want the kids to grow up without a dad, or, without a mum, whoever the manipulator is. You don't want to do that, right? You don't want to take it away. So now I'm using fear of the kids being taken away, plus guilt of them doing that, and boom, I have successfully evaded jail time. It's not just partnerships, as I said. It happens with all relationships. So let's take those examples over to a parent now, right? How can a parent manipulate you? Well, sometimes parents want you to look or dress or be a certain way, right? They might want a carbon copy of them, or just fit into their criteria. So maybe you've cut your hair a certain way. Maybe you're a girl, you cut it short, and they don't like that. So they might actually insult you. Maybe you've shaved your head, and suddenly you get called a snooker ball or something. And in the moment, it might be passed off as a joke. But really, if that's a manipulative tactic, their goal might be to make you conform to whatever it is that they want you to conform to. How about this one? Teenagers. What happens with teenagers? They get friends, they go out, and they spend less time with their parents. But if you've got a bit of a claustrophobic parent that wants all of your attention, they might make you feel guilty about that. And they might say something like, oh, that's okay. Yeah, we don't see each other a lot these days, but I guess that's fine. You've got your mates to go to. Something along those lines. And the end result is to get you to keep spending time with them. So what about in friendships then? So, um, you know, friends, or I say friends, often do this. They might put someone down, right? They might humiliate the other person, their friend, just to get status from other people. And of course, they're going to use that plausible deniability card of it's a joke. Um, and that whole it's a joke thing really needs to be abolished, because whenever someone says that to you and you know that they've done something wrong, they're going to be trying to put it back onto you, because you have to feel bad because you can't take a joke. You don't have a sense of humor. Therefore, you're the problem. You know, it's gaslighting, it's manipulative, and it's not nice. They might also manipulate you by saying, wanting something or wanting to go somewhere, and then saying, oh, but my other friend, whoever that is, Jackie would do this, or, whoever it is, Paul would do this. Why can't you do that, is what they really want to say. But of course, with manipulation, you don't get respectful communication. You get guilt tripping and passive aggression and sort of using emotions to get what they want. Can happen with children as well. Now we have to bear in mind, right? This is children just push boundaries. So I use the word manipulation as a very loose word here, right? I wouldn't say that children ordinarily manipulate. They learn how to get their way. But if they've got the right ingredients, that kind of behavior can mold them into an adult manipulator. Classic example, and there's many. Let's say, for example, they want a new phone, or they want new shoes, or they want a new tablet, or whatever it is that they want, right? They've asked you for it. As a parent, you've decided you don't want to let them have that for whatever reason. Maybe you just can't afford it. And then in return, you might get a child blowing up, right? They might say that you're the worst parent in the world. They hate you, all this, that, and the other. They might just not do anything at all. They might just go in their room and pretend that there's an issue. They might not speak to you for a few days. And that is how kids learn to get their way through emotions. And like I said, if they've got the right ingredients, that can form into adulthood. Let's not leave out work situations. We all know about these employees that have got so much on, right? They are so busy. It's unfair treatment because they've been given so much work. And what happens? Another co-worker comes to save them. They say, look, I can see that you've got a lot on. Let me take that from you. Give me your tasks, and that is how a co-worker gets successfully manipulated. Another example, right, is you're the best, which comes across as, I've been given a task. I don't want to do that task. So I might say to my colleague, you're so good at this. You are much better than me at it. Are you all right to do this one? How can they say no? I've bigged them up so much. I've given them compliment. They are much better than me at doing this task. And if they're a team player, they're likely to take that task from me. Easy. Of course, it's only easy when that person lacks empathy and they're a bit self-centered. Not everyone is a manipulator. Not everyone that you talk to is going to disrespect you like that and use emotions against you. Now, let's talk about the damage that happens through manipulation, right? And I'm going to use myself as an example. Now, I'm not going to bang on too much about my situation, but what I will say is that I've had a huge amount of gaslighting in my time, right? So that means that my reality has been made to question. I've seen A happen, and I have been convinced, or someone's tried to convince me, that B has happened. And over time, over years and years of that happening, it makes me question whether what I'm thinking is correct. So now as an adult, I constantly need to reevaluate situations. And it has its pros, like I can see behavioral patterns easier than some people, but it also means that I'm constantly going over those situations and ruminating those thoughts. So the point is that whilst manipulation might feel really good in the moment, and you might feel that, yeah, that's good because I'm getting something, or the heat has been taken off me, or I don't need to be accountable for something, it has serious negative effects to the victim. So I hope I've covered manipulation well in this video. And just remember, not every time someone's tired, they're going to be manipulating you. Look for the patterns. Are people using guilt? Are they using fear? Are they using your obligations as a parent or as a partner or as a human to get what they want? See the patterns and set boundaries, because respectful relationships, right? And that is the healthier alternative to manipulation. If you've seen this video and you feel that you do this, just realize that you might have just learned that that's how to get what you want in life. The healthier alternative is just respectful communication. Talk about feelings, don't use feelings. Talk to people, don't use them.